know it's been a while I made a video, but I've been dealing a lot of mental health issues, that kind of thing. That's fine. And I'm also want to resolve some real life stuff. That being said, today I want to talk about Caleb Maupin. And the reason that I want to talk about him, it's not so much that I want to just sort of crap out a person, but it's to show the danger, to be careful on who you listen to. And you can say, is it like a warning sign of the importance to listen to both sides of the story. If you listen to him and talk and what he has to say about the left, he thinks Bretu, which is basically like is a nickname given to people making leftist content, and he will say that these people are they are imperialist stooges. They want to promote fascism and all that. And he also is going to say that they are after him. They want his to take his life. So he's being very paranoid. He's playing it as if it is like this a victim. He's playing it on people's emotion, as if he as if he is the grandiose person ever, and everyone is after him because they disagree with him. And he refuses to listen to criticism. And he will also think that, and he will never criticize the people that he likes until these people turn on him. When this whole thing began with him, and I've listened to hours upon hours of both sides, what they have to say on all that. This whole thing started when he had a debate with Destiny. Destiny just asked some direct questions to him. And it's happening like in this 3-hour session. He has zero questions. Like the one time he was talking about like climate change, is what kind of policies and all that he would like to do. It was like what kind of state-run enterprise he would like, or what kind of central plan and how you get there. Instead of him answering his question, he would say, glad that we actually agree. What's your next question? What kind of behavior is that? Then, in his debate with Vosh would use the definition of fascism, of basically like the merger of capital with the state, that kind of thing. The same kind of definition that Caleb will use to say that China is a fascist country and anti-democratic. And multiple times throughout that debate, Vosh will say the reason that China is not socialist is because it's not democratic. Not once Caleb has ever said why China was democratic. Not once. And because Vosh continually critique China the whole time, Caleb got the idea, oh, you're after my life now. You want to be killed. What? He plays this. He twists facts or narrative or whatever to fit his own narrative. And as he's doing so, he gets more and more trouble. Where he was saying, he gets into a feud with another YouTuber called Totsline. Totsline will critique about him platforming a turf. Basically, these are basically feminists who hate trans, who basically want trans to be gone. They don't consider to be real women. They're after real women, all that. They're just garbage human beings who just hates on trans people. And there are perfect people for conservative to use to turn on them. Keep in mind, this is going to be important for later. and it's going to tie into with Caleb, because Caleb Maupin, he presented himself as a communist, as someone who wants liberation, someone who is working for the working class. And coming with the thoughts line, he will say that thoughts line says that that is accusing him for to be an asshole or supporting anti-trans right, that kind of thing. Also, degrowth. It says that last time teaches degrowth. It doesn't know what about socialism, that kind of thing. He doesn't know what to talk about libertarian value, so on and so forth. And he'll post that on his channel. Thoughtsline responded to him, showing the very clip of what he says on his original video. And this is back and forth what is happening. It's like Thoughtsline made a critique on Caleb making a response, and Thoughtsline is making a response back to him, and pointing out that, so you say you're advocate for trans right, and Judy Barr is she's only against the trans agenda. Trans agenda is a code word by conservatives to say I hate trans and I want them gone and I want them exterminated. That is what the trans agenda is. It's basically dog whistles by bigots who cannot stand the existence of trans, to understand that not everything is black and white in biology, that somebody can be born to be the wrong gender, and no amount of religious belief that someone has will justify the persecution of a minority. And the reason that we keep hearing about the trans agenda, it's not so much because trans is such a big problem. They're a minority. They're not even 2% of the population. But it's an issue that conservative hates, and they cannot stand their existence. So they're going to pass all kinds of laws and bills and that kind of thing to discriminate against them. Oh, and of course, it's all about the LGBTQ community stuff, and how the LGBTQ is going to they get persecuted and all of that. But TERF will side with conservatives, and then they're going to be shocked of why they're going to backstab later on. So what does it matter with so what does it have to do with Caleb? Well, you see, one of the last videos that Tossars made was, why should you side with a person that is going to backstab you? Yeah, and that you have a problem with it. Why should you side yourself with a person that wants you dead? Sure, you can allow yourself for an immediate threat. Like for example, like you can use someone to there's a lot of conservative would say defund Ukraine and all that. Yeah, sure, I can find, but also do know that conservatives are also there to backstab me and wants me to be slave to the capitalists. That is one thing they're going to try to do. And Tossa, what he's trying to say is, don't be careful on who you ally with, because they will in turn, because of your ideology, they will turn around and backstab you when the temporary alliance is over. And this is exactly what and you need to have a certain level of moral ground to say, it's like, sure, I want to ally myself, but be warned, I am not going to stand by with your misogyny, your bigotry towards the LGBTQ, your rhetoric that is going to cause harm to other people. I am not going to stand by that. And you should always push back against those kind of behavior. But does Caleb actually going to stand by? No, of course not. He takes an issue on that because Toslav is attacking his friends, the people he likes. This is why he gets accused to be a Nazbol, because he's get caught to be also as a Dugan. And Nazbol is for those who doesn't know, is basically a mixture of Nazi ideology with communist ideology. It's a merger of the two. And there's even a quote, and as the Dugan kind of revived this far right ideology. And Lenin actually the original Nazbol who first came out, Lenin actually spoke against them. They say they're basically betrayal of the working class. They're not actually for the working class. Why would he say that? Because if you have any amount of belief that justify the persecution of any minority, it is not a socialist movement. Because socialism is about the liberation of all people, so that everyone, doesn't matter who they are, has the dignity to live whatever the lives that they want without persecution. What a race, doesn't matter if it's race, sex, sexual identity, anything like that. And this is the issue with the issue about Caleb. He will always end up siding with the worst of the worst of people. And he outright stated that he will never criticize anti-imperialist countries. Doesn't matter what kind of wrong that they do, he will never going to critique them. And this is how he will always end up siding with. Like at one point, when he was trying to rebuke it, last time, he literally quoted an anti-Semite as a good anti-imperialist for just because this person was against Israel. And I forget his name on top of my head. But the point still remains that this person was not a good person, and he was not going to critique. And does he ever acknowledge about the criticism that he received? No, he doesn't. He plays dumb every single time. So he will lie about what it happens. Then, of course, it only gets better, by the way. It gets better. So remember I was talking about how accused Todd Slime of degrowth. So one thing that Caleb Maupin loves to do is to read the Communist Manifesto and say, all the leftists, all the fake leftists, they should just go home and just shut up. Because he has the Donald Culture effect. He's like, he believes that he's smarter than he really is. And he wrote again. You read the comments where it says the state needs to be owned by the proletarian, that kind of thing. A centralized state. But here's the issue. Does he actually listen to the critique? Why he's wrong? No. And one thing that he is doing, he's committing what is called the presentism fallacy. For those who does not know, the best way to understand this, if you take the word gay, for example, in today's time we'll say it means homosexual. This is actually not true, but that's not was it true for 100 years ago. That word meant to be happy. It wasn't until recently that the word changed its meaning, and it got this negative connotation. Well, changed its meaning to become this sexual orientation of a person. And this is the issue. When people try to read older documents, they will try to use, they will commit the present-tense fallacy and think that they know what they're talking about. But in reality, they don't. So going back of what I was talking about the Communist Manifesto, you have multiple YouTubers who pointed out that the way that Commerce was talking about it is the ruling of who controls the state. Is it the capitalist or the worker? Not this government entity, but rather the people, democracy. Remember, this connects back to what I said previously, how Tosline refused to answer okay, as I was saying, notice one thing earlier. I was saying how Caleb refused to answer about democracy. Why is the China isn't socialist? Because it isn't democratic. Because he does actually believe in democracy. That is actually the real truth. And anyways, and if you actually ask him about democracy every single time that anyone has ever brought up democracy to him, he will always ignore the question every single time. And this is why. And this is why people misunderstand what he's actually doing. Because he actually doesn't care. He's a dictator. He wants an actual dictator dictating what to do. In other words, he wants fascism, not communism. He pretends that he wants communism, but he really doesn't, and it's going to become very apparent when how he deals with the people that he knows. So, the Communist Manifesto. Also, other people pointed out how there was, after the Paris Commune, there was an edit to the Communist Manifesto where both Karl Marx and Engels said they were too focused on the state. They wanted to be more democratic. Does he ever address this? Never. He does not address this point ever. I don't even think, like, I have yet seen a single video from him. Like, I have looked, like, I tried to find everything I could about him doing this kind of back and forth in his channel and all that. And I have not seen any video where he made a counter argument about that. No, I have not. Like, I've never seen it in a counter argument. He just says, just read the Communist Manifesto. Just read what an Engels says. But he ignores any writings that contradicts his argument. And this is what he does. He ignores what people actually says to him. Which goes back to degrowth. Yes, there was a lot of comments about growth that Karl Marx wrote. But one thing that a lot of the people has pointed out to him: context matters. To yell. That's fine. That's one of those things. As I was saying earlier in this video, I was trying to deal with some real life issue. One of those is dealing with anger management problem and trying to stay calm. I am trying, when I make these videos, to reduce the amount of yelling, the amount of anger that I showed, that kind of thing. I am trying to become more disciplined. That's one of the things that and actually, this is my second take trying to make this video. The first one it was really bad. This one half an hour before I shadowed. Not bad. As I was saying, degrowth. Yes. One thing he fails to understand is what yes, they do talk about degrowth, but also context matters. So here's the difference. It is one thing that, and Caleb Maupin keeps talking about climate. He does talk about climate change and that kind of thing. Here's the difference. We're literally about over 130 years apart. 150 years, like almost 200 years. here's the difference. At the dawn of the Industrial Revolution, people didn't really have much stuff with them. They didn't have a lot of. They were living a hell lot more in poverty than we are today. Today, and yes, and the capitalists did create artificial scarcities. And what Carver was saying is like, we need to increase the growth so that everyone can get everything they need. Is Todd Slime and the people like him says we need to reduce the amount of stuff that we have for the individual? No, that's not the argument. We already have all the food to feed everyone on this planet. We already have there's something like for every homeless man in America, there's like 5 empty homes. We are throwing couple truckloads of plastics into the ocean every day. Like something like only 10% of all plastics are recyclable, and everything is just going into the waste field. What's the point if you're just simply growing your economy, especially if you are in the imperial core, when we already have all the stuff that we need? It's just a matter of distribution problem. Why do we need any more growth? Funny part, the so-called fake YouTube and fake leftist has explained those things to him, but he simply ignores it. And even the bit that he quoted Todd Slime saying the growth, he quoted just where he explained what he actually meant. He knows what he's doing. He's twisting and he's lying about those people. He is not a good person. Then it comes for him being a sex pest. When there's a whole bunch of sexual allegations that came out. Did this nasty man actually takes responsibility for his action? Of course not. He didn't. What he did instead he put himself as being the victim from these people. He was a victim. He made himself as the cult leader as the immortal ruler of his little cult. And you know what is kind of why people says he is exploited him, that they be exploited by him, because they will sacrifice everything to come to come support his cause, but then they become dependent on him for everything, and then he charge rent on top of that, and they basically go and work for him, charge rent for the place to live. He literally, they sacrifice everything. They make them dependent upon him, and then he was like, "Cool. Here's not that I'm deep now. You completely depend on him. You know where to turn. Your life is all shit. Cool. I'm going to pay you for half of doing the kinky stuff." And does he actually admit for the crime that he has done? No. He does not take responsibility. He plays the victim, as I already stated. Just like everything else that he has done. And just to cement how much of a liar that he is, he critiqued a video of how to spot a fascist by Philosophy Tube, I think her name is. I always get mixed up. I'm pretty sure it's Philosophy Tube. But basically the name of the video is how to spot a fascist. And comments like, critics like, "Oh, this person doesn't know what he's talking about. He must be a leftist psyop or something like that." So, because if you really know about fascism, it's literally just the merger of capital with the state. Does he show any clips of the video? Does he actually explain why she's wrong? Oh, he's wrong. Anyways, that person is being wrong. Of course not. Because if he has, his entire argument would have fallen apart. And his argument why is it going to fall apart? When you actually watch the video, what the person is doing is quoting actual neo-Nazis. Not just what her beliefs are. She's quoting neo-Nazis. Actual neo-Nazis, what their what their manifesto says, what they say, blog posts, like literally their quotes, their words on what they're going to do. But she's wrong. Quoting actual neo-Nazi. But she's wrong. This is where things get even more intriguing. Because now, all I've been done for the past 45 minutes is just literally talking about how he hates people criticize his friends. He hates people, how he twisted facts, all of that. But one thing he never does is he never critiques conservatives. Ever. He will critique liberals, never conservatives. Not once. He say, oh yeah, Trump is he might not be a good guy, but we should align ourselves with the MAGA people. We should align ourselves with the conservatives, even though the conservatives are going to backstab you. He will literally going to have the Libertarian Party and try to build bridges with libertarians. How can you build bridges with fascists? Libertarians are fascists. What libertarian wants? They want to have the capitalists be your master. But he wants to build bridges with these people, but does not want to build bridges with the left, because the left is imperialist. They want to support imperialism. But the conservatives, no, or libertarians or whatever, the right wing, no, they don't want to build. They don't serve imperialism, even though they're the one who always builds it. They always build the imperialism, the Western imperialism every single time. They refuse to acknowledge what the West has done. Like I've been saying for the longest time, that conservatives right now, they might be our ally towards Ukraine, because they want to defund it, and that's because right now they view Putin serving their kind of their identity politics rhetoric, because Russia hates the LGBTQ people. But are they truly going to support Russia for other issue? I can guarantee not. Especially issue like doing trade with China, because conservatives, when it comes to China, they hate China. They want more military base around China. They also want to support Israel. And you know what? You know what I see about conservatives, about the current conflict about Israel and Palestine? Oh my God, I'm so shocked. They are supporting Israel on the genocidal policy towards Palestine. Jordan Peterson, one of the conservative heroes, tweeted saying the UN is evil for saying, and the UN literally made a video saying that the Israel treatment of Palestinian violates human rights violation. They're doing human rights violation. And Jordan Peterson says that the UN is evil. Yeah, screw you, people who screw conservatives. They're the worst kind of people who refuse to take responsibility for the mess that they always create. Every single time. If you want to know where the mess as how's the problem occurring in the society, just look at the conservatives, and I can guarantee you it was a bloody conservative who made the mess. It was the conservatives who brought us neoliberalism, which is basically trickle-down economics. Without getting into the detail of what is trickle-down economics, neoliberalism, and all that jazz, the short version is removal of worker rights, be a slave to capitalists, all of that jazz. It's an oversimplification, but for the context of this video, I'm just going to say this. Yet, Caleb Maupin will much rather align himself with a conservatives than he will ever want to align himself with Dosline. This is why people like him are dangerous. Conspiracies and the whole thing about him, like the left is after so two last point about Caleb, and then I'm going to tie all the things back up why these things matters. He wrote 2 books. I forget it. One is I forget the names of the books, but one is is basically talking about where leftism, like how the left bread tube is infiltrated by the CIA, which is nonsense. A lot of an argument that he made in that book I really played out. The only one argument I didn't deal is about how about this guy who does cult studies, and how he was a cult member, but because of his cult got some connection, so he implies that this guy's a CIA operative, because this guy also had one conversation with one YouTuber, leftist YouTuber, that usually has no connection with other leftists. And this whole thing about this cold thing, his work has been disproven by the vast majority of psychologists. If you actually look into it, it talks about the bite. It talks about the bite model. I'm not going to get into it. There's an issue with it, a lot of it. But the main problem is why you haven't proven that this guy was an actual CIA agent. Just because this group was affiliated doesn't mean that he himself was an agent. Correlation does not cause causation. But that's what he does, Caleb Maupin. he does a whole bunch of correlation. He'll put a whole bunch of different facts, and that's the one thing he does in the book. He puts a whole bunch of kind of try to connect, but you're just supposed to follow the logic without actually thinking through each point. And when you actually do go through at each point and see the flaws of the try to kind of like the of his logic, that the whole thing falls apart. And using that specific guy is a perfect example of, just because you have this one conversation with one YouTuber doesn't mean that all bread YouTube is a CIA op. Just because you don't like the people on it does not mean they're a CIA operative. But that's what conspiracy-minded people will try to make you believe. The second book that was a much earlier book, and right now I really, I'm really forgetting what it's called. But when you can't even buy it anymore on Amazon, because he received too much complaint, and people, when you actually listen to it, it's like people didn't really understand the point of it. But when you read it, and some people actually made some copies of the book. It's something like 20 pages missing, but the rest of it you can read it online. The amount of anti-Semitism in that book is unbelievable. Anyone that he does not like, mysteriously, that he named, is always a Jew. Every single time. And of course, he talks about bankers. Don't forget about the bankers. How the bankers rules the world. And there's always the Jews. Jews is around right there, controlling the financial finance. And when you actually listen to him, he always has this: the bankers does this, banker does that. Cool. But when you first listen to it, it's kind of strange that his obsession about bankers. But when you actually put the anti-Semitism, when you actually read the book, it makes sense what he's so upset about bankers, because bankers is another, for those who are anti-Semite, is a dog whistle to signal he's a Jew. And the Jews are the one who is running the world. It's the Jew. It's the fault of the Jews that they're the problem that we are today. Kind of goes back to Nazism, doesn't it? Oh, and as I was saying, there's a whole bunch of people in the book. All the name he has ever given was, this person is a Jew. Ayn Rand, not a philosophy, also completely bonkers. No. She's a Jew. He has to highlight that she's a Jew. Even the person who says it says he's CIA operative, turns out he's a Jew. Funny how he always ends up picking people that are Jews, and he named them every single time. And that's why danger from people like him is that, yes, he does spill a whole bunch of facts, but it is buried in a mist, in a sea of falsehood. And for those who are not actually intellectually grounded, who does not know the difference of what he does, then guess what? They get fooled by him. And this kind of characters exist a lot. Jordan Peterson is such a character as well. Like I'm going to talk about, like, person who spews the greatest liars. And this is something said, I keep saying, it's like the greatest liars or the greatest lies have some element of truth in them. And the greatest liars are those who continue lies by omission. What they omit, what they don't tell you. And then they're going to use that to suck you in, to make you believe into falsehoods. This is why people like Caleb Maupin are dangerous. And people like Jordan Peterson. And at some point, I will be making a video about the Uncle Tom Thomas soul. Anyways, I am done. I hope this video was informative, and I'm planning to actually make more videos. And I can't wait to have my laptop fixed. Like right now, I'm in financial bind, and I need about $200 to have my laptop fixed. Once I have my laptop fixed, I am going to be making some new kind of videos, and I have certain projects that I really want to get into, where I'll be doing a lot of, and they're more like video essays. On this note, I'm gonna leave. Good day.